Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be making a hearty beef stew, perfect for this cold weather that we're having at the moment. So we're going to start off with 750 grams of diced beef. You can have less if you want, that's just what I'm using. And in the bowl there I'm just putting in some plain flour or all-purpose flour. And we're just going to make a little bit of a seasoning mix. So in there I've got some black pepper going in. I've got some salt, and I'm also going to put in some paprika, and that's just going to make a little bit of a seasoning mix in there. So I would say, you know, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and then probably 1 to 2 teaspoons of the paprika. So what we're going to do is we're just going to grab our chunks of beef, and I'm not going to put them all in at once, just a few at a time. I'm going to coat them nicely. I chuck them between my hands to get any excess flour off, and then just pop them to one side, and you can see there that they're coated. And then what we're going to do is just coat the rest of them exactly the same way. Just keep repeating the process until all of your meat is coated. If you do require any additional of the flour seasoning mix, just make some more up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pop a pan on a heat, and we're going to pop some oil in, a little bit of oil, and I'm going to pop in our beef, and I'm just going to brown the beef off. So because the beef is going into the casserole pot for a number of hours in the oven, we just want it to retain all the flavour and things, so that's why we're sealing. So you can see there, I'm just going to pop a little bit in at a time. I'm not going to overfill the pan. And we're just going to brown that off in stages and pop it to one side once it's eventually browned off. So you see there, or at least attempting to see, it's just the light in my kitchen through the kitchen window there. But probably a bit better shot there. You can see it's not fully cooked. It's just literally browned off, and I'm just going to pop it into my bowl just till later on, till I'm ready to use it again. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a stock, and I'm just going to use a beef stock pot and a vegetable stock pot. So we're just going to pop them in, and I cannot get them stock pots out of those pots. I'm pretty sure it's just the design. It's not me, guys, honestly. So I'm just going to pop them in. I'm going to pop a tablespoon of tomato puree in there. And I'm also going to put some Worcester sauce in there as well. Now, I don't add, throughout the recipe, I don't add salt and pepper to the stew. The reason being is because the Worcester sauce, the stock pots and things, they contain the salt, so we tend to season at the end based on what we want in our bowl. Just for anybody who's wondering why I've not seasoned. So I'm putting in there 500 ml of hot water from the kettle, and I'm just going to mix that up until the stock pots have dissolved and all of the ingredients have just combined nicely. So the vegetables there, what I'm using, I have got some onion. You can cut this up however you like. We've just cut it like that. I've got some leeks from the freezer, which is homegrown, and then I've got some potato and carrot in there as well. I've tried to cut all of my potatoes the same size, so they all cook the same. I know it can't always be that way, but just take a moment to appreciate my new little pot there, my little pumpkin pot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just layer up the ingredients. I'm just going to put a little bit of beef on, and then a little bit of everything else, and just sort of layer that up. And I am going to just compact that down. Now, in respect to the vegetables, you can have the quantity of your choice. So if you like a lot of potato, put more potato in. For this one here, this is a 2 litre crock pot, 2 litre pot, casserole pot. And I used, I think it was 4 potatoes and 3 carrots and half of one of my big onions, but it will probably be 1 onion from the shop, and then just some rounds of the leek, so maybe half a leek or something. So you can see there that I'm filling this pot up nicely, and I'm not used to working with a 2 litre pot is a big pot, but I'm used to working with a lot bigger pans and things, so I do and your veggie is going to break down and boil down a little bit, so I do push it down and just pop it all in, because it will all come together eventually. And as for the stock, the vegetables that you're putting in will release water as well, so I don't fill this right up to the top, because your vegetables will release water as well, so the 500ml won't completely cover it. I've put a couple of bay leaves in there as well, and in goes our stock. And as I've said before, it doesn't cover it, and that's fine, because eventually it will as time goes on. Now with the sort of casseroles and the stews and things, we don't particularly like a soupy sort of stew. We prefer it sort of a thicker one. And as you'll see at the end, a lot of our sort of the water has evaporated, or you know, it's soaked up into the vegetables and the meat and things. But if you want it a little bit watery, just add a little bit more water towards the end to make a bit more of a gravy or soupy liquid. So that's after an hour and a half there, and you can see there that the vegetables have given out more liquid, but as time's gone on, you can see that it's actually gone a lot thicker. So as I mix this up, that's the perfect consistency to what we like. I'm going to add a few frozen peas in at this point and put the lid on just while I sort our crusty bread out to go with it. Give that a bit of a stir, and there you go guys, and that's the consistency we like.